Welcome ladies and gentlemen to my Magicka Sorcerer Pet Build for Imperial City. This is an Imperial City specific build. It only works there because we are using a set that only works in Imperial City. You will find additional information on my website. I will put the link into the description so you can go check it out. I will, in the first part of the video, I want to talk about the basic stuff, sets, CP and all stuff, and in the second part I will show you off how you should play with this build. It's also more explained on my website if you want to go check it out. So these are our unbuffed stats, and when I use my pot and everything, you see we sit at 42% spell crit, spell damage really high, and the stats here are insane. We're using Necropotence, Imperial Physique, so that's how we get those stats. The Mage Mundus Stone. Here you actually could use the Thief if you think spell critical is more important. I do prefer the Mage because it makes my shield bigger. You see we also almost have a 16k shield. You even could get more Magicka, I will get to that in a second. In terms of race, I am a High Elf. Everything that gives you max Magicka works. High Elf, Dark Elf, Breton, those are especially good. Because you get more max Magicka. Now why is this build so strong? First off, pets got insane buffs in Homestead, like they're completely fucking OP. On top of that, as you see, we have 32k health. And the Zorks have Implosion. The moment the enemy drops into execute range, he is gonna die, okay. 22k execute damage. I don't even have to cast, it's just automatic. Boom, goodbye dude. This works both for mobs and players, obviously. In terms of buff food, we are using this one here, Health Magicka. We do not use Tri-Stat because we already have more than enough stamina. We are using those spell power pots because we want to get Major Sorcery and Major Prophecy. It obviously also restores Magicka, which is nice. I will put the ingredients on my website if you don't know how to craft those. In terms of sets, 5-piece Necropotence. You see, like when we have a pet active, it gives us 4k more max Magicka. It's the best set. If you don't have it, go get it. Then we use 5 pieces Imperial Physique. Now this set makes it so strong, you see, we get 7k health, magic and stamina. As long as we have a 4x Telvar Stone multiplier. That means you need to carry at least 10k Telvar Stones. If you have 10k Telvar Stones you will get this glow, which means you have the extra stats. The glow actually also works outside of Imperial City, but you just don't get the extra resources. In terms of traits, so Imperial Physique set is really hard to get. I do recommend, like I show on my website, use infused pieces on the big parts like chest, head, pants to get more max Magicka. And on the small pieces you could use Impenetrable or Divine. Some people think I don't need Impen because I have shields up 24/7. Sure, in theory that works. So you want to use Divine to get more max Magicka. However, I do suggest that you use Impenetrable on the small pieces because some crit resistance is always nice. You will never be able to keep your shields up at all times. Otherwise, if you do, you would never die. But tell me, do you never die? I don't think so. Okay. Another important thing is you want 5 light, 1 heavy, 1 medium, because of the Undaunted. Gives you 6% extra resources. Very important. Just go for all max magic enchants. Here all spell damage. Weapon, I do have Imperial Physique weapons. You can also use a Necropotence weapon, or you also could use a master weapon if you want to. It's up to you. Make sure it's a lightning staff on the front bar and the rest of stuff on the back bar. In terms of poisons, you want to use this here. Increases the cost of your victim's Magicka and stamina abilities by 60%. We have no resource issues whatsoever because this We keep heavy attacking, and our pets basically deal the most damage anyway. But the enemy will have problems at some point and will get fucking wrecked. Why shock stuff? First off, heavy lightning attacks cannot be dodge rolled. It is pulse damage. It's just another small dot. It also can proc off balance, giving us 10% more damage. I will get to that in a second. And it also procs concussion, giving us another, I think it's 15% damage. 100 magician, 60 arcanist, 40 tenacity, because our heavy attacks, we do a lot of heavy attacks. 28 elfborn, 97 elemental expert, 75 thaumaturge. Now this is very important. You need 75 points in here to unlock the exploiter passive perk. Increases your damage against off-balanced enemies by 10%, and believe me, enemies will be set off-balanced very easily. Then 60 hardy, 67 elemental defender, and 73 into bastion to get the extra shields, like increased shields. We have really huge shields, and if we drop lower in health, like healing ward will give us even more. It's completely insane. Now I want to talk about a few passives, mainly about, like you see, expert summoner is nice, we get more max health. Then the power stone obviously, which makes our ultimate cost really low. And now here, there's a few other really nice ones, but Implosion. So you see, Implosion is so fucking strong because like this scales off health, and we have 32k health. That's why it hits so hard. Basically, if it crits on a Daedric mob, it does like 40k damage. It's so stupid. And on players, it will still deal 10k plus. So the moment the enemy drops into execute range, he is fucking piñata. Energized gives you 5% more shock damage. And obviously here we get more spell damage overall. Alchemy, you want to have medicinal use, don't forget that. As you see, we have the light armor and heavy armor. You need the Juggernaut just to give you a little bit more max health. This here, because we have one heavy armor piece on, it gives us 2% more health. Really cool. Now we have 3 bars. This, and the overload bar. Let's first start with the main thing. We have 2 pets. I do recommend running 2 pets. It will suck up 4 slots because they need to be double bared, otherwise they will rip. But it doesn't really matter. And the thing is, don't forget to activate those abilities, because you see, now it's active, it's AoE damage, and this one starts glowing. Twilight Tormentor. Empower your Twilight Tormentor, causing it to deal 50% more damage to enemies above 50%. This is so fucking broken, that's why it does so much damage. And this here is just pulse weave of volatile electricity, dealing 6.4k shock damage every 2 seconds. The final pulse will stun all enemies hit for 3 seconds. So this is basically our only CC ability, but believe me, you will not need it, because most enemies die in fucking 4 seconds anyway. Hardened Ward, this is our main shield. You see, your own globe absorbs 33% additional damage. So I have a 16k shield and my pets have a 11k shield. Really, really freaking strong. You could use the other morph, though I prefer to get the extra shield size. Elemental Drain. You need this. Spell resistance of the enemy gets reduced by 5.3k. And you also get minor Magicka steal, which gives you basically 800 free Magicka recovery. Because it's 400 Magicka every second, and those stats here are for every 2 seconds. Blockade of Storm. Now you see the second text. Setting concussed enemies off balance for 4 seconds. And as you remember, off balanced gives us 10% more damage. How do we get off balanced? We need to concuss the enemy. How are we concussing the enemy? We are concussing the enemy via lightning abilities. For example, the Eye of Lightning. This here, I'm actually not sure what it does. I think it's also shock damage. This has shock damage. And we have the Boundless Storm, which is also shock damage. And we also have heavy attacks, which are shock damage. So, proccing off balance is really easy. And I will also put the link in the description where you can see all the status effects. If I remember correctly, Concussion gives you an extra 15% damage. On top of the off balance, 10%. On top of Energize, another 5%. So it's just so much fucking damage. It's completely OP. Now, next thing, I almost forgot. Destruction passive, Ancient Knowledge. You see, Lightning Stuff increases your damage done with AoE abilities by 8%. And most our abilities are AoE. This is AoE. The pet here, AoE. Our Lightning Ultimate is AoE. And Boundless Storm is also AoE. I think I will do a separate video on this kind of subject about pets and Ancient Knowledge. Otherwise the video will get too long, because I haven't actually tested if this procs it or not, but I do think so. So that's the front bar. You see, we don't use Crushing Shot or Force Pulse because we are heavy weaving. You don't need it. It's too much damage already. Healing Ward. So basically you can choose between a Resto or a Destro Staff on the back bar. As I am using the Twilight Tormentor, you want to have a Resto Staff because Healing Ward is my only heal I can get. But because I use this, I can use the Tormentor. The other morph, Twilight Matriarch, would have a heal similar to Breath of Life, just fucking stronger because it scales of max Magicka. Then you could slot a Destro Staff here if you want to. But I prefer this setup because this here just does too much fucking damage on high health targets. Boundless Storm gives us speed buff for 8 seconds and it also deals really nice dot damage. Can proc Implosion, can proc off balance, Concussion and all that stuff. Daedric Prey. While the curse is active, your pets deal an additional 55% damage. Yes, it's just retarded. Overload bar. So we have the Hardened Ward here again, because if you move to your overload bar, you want to be able to shield, otherwise you will get wrecked. Now here we have Power Surge. If you have the chance to activate this before the fight, like really experienced people also can do this during the fight. It will give you nice heals and it gives you the spell damage buff, so you could potentially use other potions. Dark Conversion, like if we get low on Magicka or something, because we have so much stamina, we could use this to restore. And it's a lot of Magicka you get back. You turn 2k stamina, which is fucking nothing, into 4.7k Magicka. Insane. You need to have your pet slotted here, otherwise they will disappear. That's basically it about the overload bar. Now again, we don't really need to use it because as long as you keep your shield up, you will have no issues. That's it about the skill setup. I really recommend running it like this. I will showcase a 1v1 and another fight where I fight against the boss morph, so you can actually see the damage and compare it. My Volatile Familiar skill is already activated, you can see the pulse. I make sure to have a shield up, drop Elemental Drain, weapon swap, Daedric Prey, and then I weapon swap again because you can see my Boundless Storm is already active. I activate another shield, drop Blockade of Shock, and now you can see the moment I drop it, off balance procs. He also got stunned from the AoE ability from the pet. And now you can see off balance, 10% extra damage. He's also concussed, because without concussion it can't be off balance, so that's another 8% more damage. Daedric Prey explodes for 9k, and then you can see Implosion immediately procs the moment he gets into the execute range, because we have so much shock abilities. 10k, bam, goodbye dude. Remember, playing solo can be very tricky because people will see the glow on you and they will try to kill you with a group. So I do recommend playing in a small group even if you have this set, unless you're very experienced. Here maybe you can see it a little bit better. I just want you to look at the damage numbers. You can see there is, although we don't have force pulls or anything else, there is so much incoming damage, and I need to do my rotation to actually be able to keep up all the dots like Blockade of Storm and Daedric Prey. Blockade of Storm is 8 seconds and Daedric Prey is 6 seconds, so they don't hold for long. And while doing that I need to keep up my Hardened Ward, and on top of that I also should do some heavy attacks, right? To list up all our skills. So basically we have the Blockade of Storm going, we have Daedric Prey going, which buffs our damage from the pets. Pets have light attacks and skill abilities, which deal insane damage. Then we have Boundless Storm, and we have our heavy attacks. So it's just so much dot damage, and when the boss or like any player or mob gets into lower than 15%, we also immediately proc Implosion. It's just so much outgoing damage, it's fucking insane. I will put the link into the description of the full video from Molag Bal here, so you actually can go check it out. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.